Hello everyone, it's Truds here and today we've got another Destiny 2 video. Today we are going to be looking at an awesome and powerful Warlock build that will have you soaring around in the air, throwing an insane amount of literal fire onto enemies, champions and even fellow guardians. It's one of my all-time favourite builds and I'm going to dissect how to maximise all the moving parts. If you're up to date with my previous video regarding the Guardian Games Laurel Farm, you will have seen the basics of this build. It truly is one of my favourite builds in the game, even back in its D1 form with Viking Funeral. This is what Destiny is to me and always will be, space magic to the max. If you didn't catch the Laurel Farm, the link is down below, and while you're there, if you want to subscribe to the channel and support my content going forwards, that would be greatly appreciated. I feel like we're building something special here, so please feel free to be a part of it. Now, onto the build. Today, we're going to mix the order up for those who saw the basics of this one before. So we're starting off with the mods we're going to use to make a really potent Warmind Cell build for Season of the Worthy. We'll then get into the specifics of the armour pieces and how they fit in, along with the top weapon choices to complete this fun and powerful build. So a lot of the builds we are going through lean specifically into a specific affinity of Warmind Cell mods. But this one, we are mixing it up as honestly the amount of cells we're going to be creating is just nuts. The first mod we are putting in will be Global Reach. At 1 neutral energy, it's a really efficient mod to have in any Warmind Cell loadout, as it extends the damage and status effects of the Warmind Cells you create, which will be a great addition to this build. You could even put in Warmind's Longevity here instead to extend the uptime of the cells you make, but I personally find that the Global Reach mod is better for this due to how easy cells will drop when this build is going full tilt. So to pair into this one, we are going for 2 of my more preferred mods in Season of the Worthy. First up, the Power of Rasputin. This Void Energy mod will give a buff to your damage to enemies who are near Warmind Cells, which will work nicely with another Void mod, Warmind's Protection, which reduces incoming damage from enemies who are near Warmind Cells. With Global Reach in place, it maximises the area these 2 mods affect enemies, so it gives a natural buff to your DPS whilst also making you tankier if you're still just raining destruction down on your foes. And finally, you've probably guessed it by now, but Wrath of Rasputin is where we are heading. Costing 1 solar energy, this mod gives a chance to produce Warmind Cells on solar splash damage final blows. This one is hands down my favourite mod this season, as there's just so much choice to create solar splash damage instead of limiting you to the special Seraph Weapons from the season. The chance of producing a cell is fairly high in natural gameplay, but this build just turns the dial all the way up. I was seeing 2, 3, even 4 cells drop in quick succession, especially in highly dense areas of combatants. And if your fire team are stacking another set of varying Warmind Cell mods, this can really help you get the most impact out of these cells. You could get one Guardian shooting one to disorientate enemies with the Suppression mod, or destroy one to heal you with the Fire Team Medic mod. The possibilities are endless given the potency of this Warlock solar build. So onto the armour setup. Sunbracers, the Warlock gauntlets are the call here, mainly due to just how efficient they are at creating solar splash damage in a short period of time. Helium Spirals is the intrinsic perk which increases the duration of your solar grenade. Also, solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. This is indicated by the Sunbracers ready icon in the tooltip, which will give you 5 seconds to throw a grenade to proc the Sunbracers perk. Once you throw a grenade, you'll get the buff to your cooldown, giving you unlimited grenades for 5 seconds. The damage of each grenade doesn't stack DPS wise, but it's great for dealing out large area of denial damage over time to combatants. But to make this exotic build even more potent, we need to build into getting our melee back as soon as possible so we can start this one all over again. That's where the Dawnblade Attunement of Sky comes in, as this allows for instant melee recharge. Celestial Fire is great for this build because it allows you to get a melee final blow from range, therefore allowing you to proc some braces without direct contact. The real champion of this build though, and the one that binds it all together, is Winged Sun, as part of this perk allows you to use Celestial Fire whilst gliding, with any airborne final blow granting melee energy. So the trick here is to be constantly airborne, using your glide as often as possible. To make this even easier, you can use Heat Rises by consuming a grenade to get even greater extended glide time. By doing this combo, you'll always have melee energy back and be able to use some braces endlessly as long as adds are in the way. To make this build even more potent, chuck on Momentum Transfer or the Enhanced Momentum Transfer mod to grant an even greater boost to melee cooldown when you cause damage with a grenade. This is a Solar Affinity Arms mod, so it should stack nicely on your Sun Braces. Honestly, Top Tree Dawnblade with Sun Braces, in my opinion, is broken. Having instant uptime of a ranged fully charged melee, which then gives you unlimited grenades, which if you get final blows whilst you are airborne will instantly recharge your melee to start the whole cycle again. Essentially, you don't even need weapons, as low level red and yellow bar enemies will literally be baked from grenades and melees. But with this build, we're wanting to take advantage of the Warmind Cell production line we're essentially making. So we are looking at getting a bonus to weapon damage with the power of Rasputin, and to do this we want some heavy hitters to knock bosses out of the park. Also, we want to bear in mind that to take on champions in endgame content, that this season we will need to make sure that we have access to an anti-barrier sidearm or SMG and Overlord for sidearm, hand cannons or swords. We don't need an unstoppable champion weapon though, because we're going to stick in Inferno Whip on our chest armour, which will stagger unstoppable champions. You could double down with Flare Up to get instant melee recharge when staggering a champion, but given the uptime we've already spec'd into, this one isn't needed. So for Overlord rounds, we're going to use the 7th Seraph Officer Revolver. This 180 RPM is a sleeper this season and can be an absolute brute with Vorpal or timed payload. Add in the Overlord mod and it'll shut down champions with ease. You can swap out for any kinetic sidearm to use anti-barrier mods if that's what you need. My choice would be Breach Light with Vorpal, but honestly, in this build these are just a means to an end. So that's all the champion mods covered essentially, so now this allows us to put a unique weapon in the energy slot to max out on that solar splash damage. Martyr's Retribution. The solar waveframe grenade launcher from Season of Dawn is a top option here, as the wave of solar damage you create will assist with producing Warmind Cells. I've got one with Genesis, which will instantly reload the weapon when destroying a solar shield, and Demolitionist, which will buff grenade recharge rate with final blows. It is all round a great choice here to help proc Warmind Cells if you have any downtime in this build. But we want DPS, and there's none better than Xenophage. The upside of this brute of an exotic machine gun is the solar explosive slug rounds will also proc Warmind Cells. So if you get bored creating instant grenades, use Xenophage and pair it along with the Storm of Lead Arc class item mod to buff your super regen rate too. The beauty of this build is just the insane area denial and damage you can achieve. Being up in the air will make you kind of a sitting duck, but given how much damage you'll be outputting, it pales into insignificance. Plus, with the anti-champion style build, you can tee up a stagger on the champions and then go to town with Xenophage, which could then proc a Warmind Cell. It's great for solo play as well as in a fire team, especially with other stacking mods like we mentioned earlier. It's one of my all-time favourite builds this season, and for obvious reasons. So there we go, an insanely fun take on the solo mods available for this season, and one which will likely stand the test of time for the rest of the game cycle. Let me know in the comments down below if you've tried this build or have some alternatives for it. I'm always interested to get different viewpoints, so please sound off in the comments. If you are new around here, you can subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest here on the channel. We've got plenty of builds coming up, so if you've enjoyed the vibe, feel free to stick around. Also, a rating is always greatly appreciated and this helps support the channel. Thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you next time.